welcome to another CAD Dimensions Tech Tip. My name is Jesse. Well, you don't have to be much of a gearhead to see the beauty in adjustable cam gears, but how would we make one work in SolidWorks? In this tip, we'll take a look. Before we work on the motion of this gear, let's see how I have this set up. Now, exploring mates is a critical skill for working with assemblies in SolidWorks, and there's a number of ways that we can do this. The most basic way, of course, is to move right over to the mates folder, expand out, and see all of your top level mates. These, of course, will highlight in the graphics area, showing you where that mate is in the overall assembly. From here, we can see that I have very few top level mates. I have a profile center mate. This would take the place of a concentric and a coincident mate, holding the adjustment wheel and the outer gear together, and also concentric. This was a new mate for 2015, but is now available in the shortcuts for 2016. I then have a concentric mate holding the bolt in its hole, and a coincident holding the bolt flush to the surface that it bolts to. Now this works well in a case where we have very few top level mates. However, if we have many top level mates, it's often helpful to be able to filter these out. The easiest way that people tend to filter these out is by checking in each component. Each component you'll find a new folder, and in it you will see the mates that apply to that component. So we can see here for the outer gear, I have the profile center mate, again holding that onto the adjustment wheel, and also the concentric that's applicable, holding in the bolt. Now personally, I don't use either of these two techniques. I'll do most of this investigating right from the graphics area. In previous releases, I would use mostly the option to view mates. This is still a great option, and we can see when we hit view mates, we have a easier view and quicker access to what mates are applicable to that particular component. From here, of course, we have the option to modify those mates or edit those mates. Since 2016, we now also have the option to do this through breadcrumbs. If I select a component, hit D on my keyboard, again we have the ability to select anything we would need access to, including the mates that apply to that component. So we can see here I have a couple of mates that are holding that particular component in place. I think this is the quickest way to gain access to those mates, and again from here we can still work with them. For example, if I wanted to isolate by common mate, we can see I can still do that right from the graphics area. So again, in this assembly, I have this set with my adjustment wheel as the first component that's fixed in 3D space. I have a bolt which was then mated in place and patterned, and the outer gear which has been attached via the profile center mate. The motion that this allows us is simply just the rotation. Now, I would like to restrict the rotation from side to side in this slot. Now the first thing that comes to mind might be an angular limit mate. However, since 2014 and up, we have a much quicker solution. We now have a direct solution for this particular case called the slot mate. I'll enter into the mate tool, and the slot mate can be found under the mechanical mates section. Once we choose slot mate, all we have to do is choose what type of slot mate we would like to use. Selecting the drop down, we can see that we can use free. This will give it full range of motion from within the slot. We can center and slot. This will center the, in this case, our screw into the arc slot. We can also choose where that bolt may land within the slot via two different tools, the distance or percentage. In this case, I'm going to use free because I want full range of motion. That just needs to stop by the time the bolt gets to the end of the slot. We'll make our selections. To do that, I'll zoom in a bit. I'll select the shaft of the bolt, and all we have to do is select one face of the slot. I'll right click to accept, and it's as easy as that. Now my range of motion is restricted to only allow motion that the slot would allow. We now have an assembly that has full range of motion, and this can be placed into a top level assembly as a flexible subassembly with very few mates generating the exact motion that we need. Well, I hope this tip helped, and don't forget to stop back next week. Next week, we'll be checking out a very simple way to animate the motion in this small assembly. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and our blog for more great content by clicking on the links in the description below.